Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome to another day of spoilers. So some pretty cool stuff I actually really like that came out today. So we're gonna go ahead and get right into it. It was yellow for tonight, and so yeah. So first up we have a resonator, Mephistopheles. I don't know how to say that correctly. It's the 3-cost 8/8 resonator demon, and it has the passive effect of J resonators your opponent controls enter the field rested. So that alone is pretty awesome effect. We've never seen anything quite like that. So every time your opponent J activates, their J ruler comes in rested whenever they put in a resonator, including things like Sacred Elf coming in rested. I think is really cool, especially when comboed with things like Lumia. Lumia will blink things that'll come in the field recovered, such as Elf, for example, and they'll be able to tap them or block with them. So this makes it so every time they enter, they're in rested. So this is really awesome in my opinion. I really am liking that effect. And he has another ability of whenever you do Judgment of a Ruler, invert this card. Then the other side is the dark version of it, 1000,000 demon with flying, and J resonators your opponent controls gain -2/-2. So we got a field sort of wipe against low cost tokens, as well as just an overall reduction of stats. And resonators entering the field under your opponent's control don't cause their own abilities to trigger. So we have basically a version of Abdul sort of getting that sort of tech in there is going to be really interesting, helping with those enter abilities, hopefully helping counter things like we saw with the last set of spoilers, Rachel. A lot of this feels like really hard counters to Lumia decks, so that'll be kind of interesting to see. Next we have a chant, Flourishing Hope, 1-cost quick cast. Target J resonator gains this card cannot be destroyed until end of turn. Then remove this card inverted from the game. So it helps with J rulers, so it's kind of like a sort of pseudo imperishable ability, except you can also use it on resonators to save them from dying as well. And so it helps with blocking, attacking, destruction, anything like that. The inverted side, so it's when it gets removed, it's inverted. It's a 3-cost chant with quick cast as well. And you play this card only from your removed area, and target player banishes 2 resonators. So that's really cool to see. I actually was just talking to Oscar the other day about how we haven't seen any sort of banish things really at all ever since things like Soul Hunt, etc. And so it's cool not only to see that again, but in the form of this where your enemy player banishes 2 resonators. And since the format we're in, people don't really run that many resonators overall. Odds are they're having to banish really big resonators, and it doesn't target them, it doesn't destroy them, so it gets around most like 90-95% of things your opponent could do to save them from being banished. So it's really cool to see that come in, and it's not just like willy-nilly coming in. It actually takes effort to get this card out there and then get its effect. So I really like that. Next we have an addition that has inversion. So this is Life Stealing Altar, and has whenever a resonator you control is put into the graveyard from the field, you can pay 1 void, and if you do, you get to draw a card. It gives it optional sort of a cost to it, so you don't have to pay the 1, you just might. And whenever you do a Judgment of a Ruler, you get to invert this card. So more inversion, and the inverted side is Soul Returning Altar. So when this card inverts, put the top card of your Magic Stone deck into the field rested. So you get some, inside of a yellow/dark deck, you get some stone pulling out. I forget the name of that now, which is really cool. That's in there, and it has the ability Banish Resonator. Target Resonator gains -4/-4 until end of turn. So if you have a lot of chump cards, or if you need that game-winning kill to get rid of a blocker, a lot of different factors that I think would really come in handy, especially technically for basically 1 cost is when you're getting to search or pull the top card of your deck, stone deck rested. So you're already getting your money's worth, in my opinion, off of this edition. So the fact that you get this added effect, optional effect, is just icing on top of it. And lastly, we have Magic Stone of Hope. So this is just a stone that produces yellow. However, it has the ability of when you do Judgment of a Ruler, invert this card. So now we have an actual special magic stone that is able to invert, which is really cool in my opinion. And the inverted side is Magic Stone of Despair, which is basically just a dual stone that produces yellow and black. So that's a really neat effect in my opinion, and I'll go over why in a sec. One interesting thing to note is both the normal side and the inverted side of the stone are not considered a light magic stone or a dark magic stone, so they don't cause certain abilities to trigger. It doesn't cause resonance or anything like that to trigger. They're just plain producing will stones. And so it's going to be really interesting. So we've gone over the past spoilers, and there's other cards, resonators, and different things like that have that similar effect of when you do Judgment of a Ruler, invert these cards. And so we see that now with other resonators, with an addition, with these stones. And so imagine, not even with that Lumia ruler, although the Lumia ruler does get buffed and everything when you invert cards. But it could happen with really any light ruler. But you're running basically almost essentially a mono white deck. None of the resonators or anything like that we've seen is dual colors. So you're running this light deck, and all of a sudden when you J-activate, your entire field, your entire stone deck, your additions, all of a sudden all these cards flipped and you're playing an entirely different game. You're able to still play those light cards because your stones that have flipped are dual colors, so that you're able to still produce that light to play them, but now they produce dark, so you can play these dark cards that might be in your deck, and the abilities maybe of inverted cards, different things like that. You're switching the tempo of your deck from this sort of passive draw, search, different things like that, to sort of this more aggressive things that give minus to the field. You can bash Resonator, do -4. You can you're causing abilities not to trigger, so you're stalling out your opponent's deck, different things like that. So I'm really excited to see the different deck combinations and things that people are going to be able to come up with, because it's just a really neat concept in my opinion of just J activating essentially, and your deck becomes something completely different. So I'm really excited to try this out and see what other people come up with. I might start looking into, since we have enough stuff spoiled, that I could start toying around with the deck, possibly with that Lumia that was spoiled. So maybe I'll look into that, but I'm pretty excited about this. And yeah, let me know if you guys have any ideas for this type of deck with inversion now becoming a huge theme.